Welcome to the very first game of King of the Hill series that I am beginning now. Our first two randomly chosen contenders are going to be Justin the 15th versus Redxwings. Using the same format for this tournament that I used for the Star-Crossed Cup and also that I stole from Foxtrot and Felta as far as faction selection, and every consecutive round that a King of the Hill manages to hold on to his title, the map will change. So I'm going to have all challengers have to play on Samoski Winter, and then from that point it will go to Famenville Approach, and then round 3 will be on Kolodny Ferma Summer.
This is it.
And so on.
Ready for area secure. Cover the advances.
If the King of the Hill is dethroned, it starts back over from Samoski Winter, and the new King of the Hill will play from there. Redxwings going with a double Kuba wagon opening, sending the first one to pin down a squad of riflemen as it's making its way out of the base. This Kuba wagon making its way forward as well. And Redxwings will manage to pin down two separate squads of riflemen simultaneously. Redxwings has at his disposal Spec Ops, Breakthrough, and Luftwaffe ground forces. Justin has already chosen Armor Company and fielded himself a squad of Assault Engineers, which are making their way towards the central village to assist in engagements as well. Rear Echelon troops making their way up from the south. Look like they want to support in this engagement rather than capture the fuel. They will keep moving through the capture circle and try and get a flank going on these Kuba wagons. Kuba wagons trying to push them around a little bit, but is not able to do sufficient damage to suppress them. They will continue to circle. But the Assault Engineers took this path rather than circling around the right side, and as a result couldn't get a good burst off on that Kuba. And it looks like both of Redxwings' Kuba wagons are going to make their way to safety, and Redxwings is purchasing himself a mechanized regiment headquarters way over here. So he's clearly planning on utilizing this to repair his Kuba wagons, while his Sturm Pioneers, I guess they're also going to be repairing Kuba wagons, but note that Sturm Pioneers are the only squad that Redxwings currently has at his disposal to capture territory other than this Rakettenwerfer, which he's just fielded. And the Rakettenwerfer will serve as protection against an early light vehicle from the U.S. forces.
This is what we're trained for.
And I suspect we'll also see some mines from Redxwings.
Return fire! Return fire!
In fact, I know for a fact we're going to see some mines from Redxwings.
Completed.
Because I can see into the future.
Established as a static post.
Assault Engineers taking up a position inside this building to protect themselves from the Kuba wagon suppression, but they don't have very good range and as a result can't do all that much damage to these.
Scout vehicle ready.
And yes, Baka, this is my next event. Sort of. This is kind of practice. It depends on whether or not I want to keep it going. I think it could be fun. Sturm Pioneers making their way towards the north to get control of the munitions point.
Under attack! Changing mag!
And Redxwings has purchased himself a third Kuba wagon, making its way towards the center now, and a second Rakettenwerfer. I assume, and by assume I mean absolutely know for sure, that once these Sturm Pioneers are done capturing here in the north, they will go plant a mine. And the mine, in addition to the Kuba wagons and Rakettenwerfers, will... so the Kuba wagons are for handling infantry, clearly, and the Rakettenwerfers plus mines will be protection for the Kuba wagons against an early vehicle by the U.S., and we still have no tech decision from the U.S. forces. He will purchase himself a captain right now. Riflemen taking control of this strategic point here, and Riflemen will take control of the munitions here in the south. Kuba wagons with their superior range are successful in brute forcing those assault engineers out of the building. And this one is moving to push the riflemen out of cover now. So they will get suppressed by the supporting Kuba wagons over here and forced to retreat. The 1st Rakettenwerfer has taken up a position inside this building, and a mine has gone down in the road there from the Sturm Pioneers. They'll continue making their way a little more towards the south. Plant further mines. A flanking squad of riflemen isn't able to make anything happen since the timing on that flank was not great with his other squads, and he was forced to retreat. But we will note that this squad of riflemen has captured the entire south of the map unopposed, since Redwings is playing with primarily Kuba wagons. He doesn't have very many squads with which to take territory, and he's just slowly advancing across the map as a result.
Crew taking fire!
Rakettenwerfer leaves its position in this house, and he doubles down on Rakettenwerfers inside of here to create a zone of protection in the central village for his Kuba wagons, which are making their way across the central lake. For the next engagement, these 3 squads making their way out of the US base from the north. Another rifle squad taking up a position here and cover in the south. And then another rifle squad right there, bringing up the rear echelons in the church, and the engagement's about to be joined. Sturm Pioneers will close in on an already wounded rifle squad there in the south and force one retreat. Rakettenwerfers are taking minor damage from a captain in green cover here, who does not quite have range to fire on the Kuba wagon there in the back. Sturm Pioneers will also move up to screen that captain's advance. 2 squads of riflemen making their way across the road will trigger a mine. 3 of them taken out, and they should be forced to retreat by the Kuba wagons here, and neither one of them even has the veterancy required for him to take rifle grenade. There it is. 2 more squads forced to retreat. These 2 squads will probably be next. Flamethrower upgrade is in progress on this assault engineer squad, but it's a little bit late, and the engagement is lost. He'll be forced to retreat, if not wiped. Kuba wagon takes out the squad, and Sturm Pioneers will be able to move up and secure the flamethrower. Since they have no movement penalty in this deep snow, I don't think the captain can recover it anyway because of his 2 bazookas. Rear echelon troops will also be forced to retreat. And I think we finally made it to the end of my psychic knowledge time warp. Sturm Pioneers planting further mines here in the center, and a huge amount of rear echelon troops are being fielded to try to counter the Kuba wagons here. Rear echelon troops don't counter much, but they are a good counter to Kubals as long as you can spread them. It's going to be pretty important that he spread his forces out and not blob this group of rear echelon troops, and if he can do that, potentially also ghosting tank traps, he should be able to take those Kuba wagons out, but it may prove a little bit difficult, and simultaneously Redwings is fielding himself a walking Stuka. And he's going to basically be relying on his Rakettenwerfers to protect not only his Kuba wagons now, but also his walking Stuka. Kind of playing around high value light vehicles.
We're ready to move.
And not really anything else. He doesn't have any infantry. And he doesn't have any tanks. Just team weapons and light vehicles, which is actually kind of a throwback to COH1 if you think about it, because those were the 2 Ostherr or Wehrmacht unit types that had the cheap veterancy upgrades. So sometimes you saw support units and light vehicle veterancy only, and it was just Pyos and Pumas running around. Kind of reminds me of COH1. Well, Here comes a giant blob. Rear echelon troops are going to try and focus fire the Kubelwagen down. That one's got to try and back away to safety. Only one squad has gotten suppressed so far. Captain moving up with his bazookas is a significant threat as well. Fallschirmjäger in this building doing a lot of damage, but bazookas do connect, and one Kubelwagen's already been destroyed. The other two in significant danger, but the entire blob is suppressed. That being said, he does have access to on me. If he were to utilize that to sprint into close range on the Kubels, it could be disastrous, but a Stuka is firing on the blob! Oh, that wasn't that bad, though. That barely even did anything. That one rocket landed right in the center, and all the squads seemed to be, like, kind of okay. Although, that one rocket has, like, a circle of corpses around it, which is still kind of funny. Squad's spreading out a little bit to get some territory back under control. Redwings has to pull back his Kubelwagons for repairs over here, and his Fallschirmjäger in the church were brute forced out by just the sheer volume of rear echelon troops there in the middle. Could be a wipe. Oh, I feel like that mine is gonna wipe this rifle squad. Oh, a Kettenwerfer shot the mine, but the rifle squad does survive. And there's 3 Rakettenwerfers in this building, in fact. So, seems a little excessive. That's starting to get a little eggs in one basket-y right there. Rear echelon troops have spread out and are taking control of territory there in the north, and Red Wing still has not even made a move to take the territory in the south at all. Stuka got 15 kills in that one barrage, and that was like with not great placement. Ambulance has been fielded, making its way to the front lines. It's already healed up a little bit, but suicides itself into the Rakettenwerfer house for some reason. Not sure what that was all about. First squad of Fallschirmjäger is fielded out of this building, but Bazooka Captain snipes one of the models. Another one dropped already. It looks like the squad's either going to get wiped or forced to retreat here. Not sure if it's going to get away. Rounds the corner with about half health remaining on one squad member. Another squad of Fallschirmjäger has moved up to do what it can, but it's also falling extremely low and will be forced to retreat. I think. I don't know. He takes out a full rifleman squad. Slightly higher burst of damage than I was expecting right there, but these rear echelon troops will be able to force that squad away. And a captain is moving up into cover here in the center. And a Stuka just fired on the captain, I think. Not really. And it's not that often that you see the MG on a Stuka being useful, but I think it actually could potentially screen away these rear echelon troops if it moved up into close range. But the Rakettenwerfers and Kubelwagen here in the back should be sufficient. Stuka does like minor damage with its machine gun there.
Squad numbers back at full.
Rear echelon troops will capture the entire map. Rear echelon troop spam, despite how many casualties he's taking, is clearly working. He's taking control of the entire map, and Red Wings just can't combat this much stuff. It's just too much to take on. That being said, Red Wing's unit preservation has been a lot better. He's lost one Kubelwagen, and I think that's it. I don't think he's lost any other full units. No, there was no agreement, and I also think that Red Wings is always trolling. I don't think that has anything to do with it being this match. And I honestly think that rear echelon spam is a logical response to Kubelwagen spam. I think that was the smart thing to do in his situation. It's working really well. Because you can have so many more squads and rear echelon troops perform really well against Kubelwagens. Of course now, there's Fallschirmjäger spam coming out, and Fallschirmjäger spam is what makes sense against rear echelon troop spam. Plus the Stuka is a serious problem. Justin has two more almost no more experience to go. I don't know what I'm talking about. Before he can get an M10. Once an M10 is on the field, there will be nothing really to protect that Stuka except for the Rakettenwerfers and mines. And if he throws a Minesweeper squad on some of his rear echelon troops, a lot of which just died, he should be able to screen the way for that M10 to get that Stuka off the field. Finally, Redwings has managed to branch out a little bit and get some territory back under control and slow the victory point drain. He's only 50 victory points behind, which is not that bad. He seems to have been able to hold on to at least one VP for most of the game. Fields another squad of Fallschirmjäger out of the shed up here to get that victory point under control. And he's going to start taking control of various territories here in the south as well. Spreading his Fallschirmjäger out does leave them semi-vulnerable to being blobbed, but at the same time they can perform really well against rear echelon troops even by themselves. So getting the territory back under control with those Fallschirmjäger will start the clock ticking against the Allies once again, but Justin has hit 7 command points, and if he calls in an M10 he should maybe be able to hunt down and kill the Stuka, potentially the Kubelwagen, and of course it depends on how these Rakettenwerfers are used to protect from that point forward. But he hasn't called one in, so I'm thinking he might just go straight for a bulldozer. What I'm seeing. I think if you were going to get an M10 he probably would have by now. Squad of Fallschirmjäger gets blobbed by rear echelon troops. Wow, he just dropped so much munitions on volley fire. That seemed like overkill.
Taking infantry fire! Area secure! Holds in position! Contact! Enemy fire!
Stolen flamethrower doing significant damage to these squads, but those Sturm Pioneers threaten getting wiped here. Fortunately, he's not chasing. Stuka is firing. Another Kubelwagen just went down, and the captain catches the tier 4 structure going up here. I don't think he'll be able to destroy it, but he will be able to bring it to half if he fires at it, but he's shooting at the Rakettenwerfers instead. And might even get wiped here. Or wait, some kind of vehicle died here. It was a Kubelwagen, right? Yeah, it was. That was his second Kubelwagen just died. Third one is still alive. Barely. And there's the bulldozer. So he opted not to get the M10, go straight for the bulldozer, which means he doesn't have the capacity to hunt this thing down, but he will have a powerful tool with it to potentially destroy this building. And lay some long-range fire on the tier 4 structure. I mean, other than the Rakettenwerfers, there's really nothing on the field that can counter that, so this is a pretty significant problem for Redwings to have to deal with, who himself is up to 130 fuel. And his anti-bulldozer options include the Puma, since he went Mechanized Regiment Headquarters, or just waiting for a Panther.
Target captured. No enemy contact. Contact! Small arms fire! Hold the line! Hold the goddamn line! We need to displace!
Monstrous waste of munitions, although it does work. He does suppress the squad. He just spent 80 munitions to do that. He could have probably just walked up and killed those Fallschirmjäger with that many rear echelon troops, but okay. A couple squads trying to retake control of the fuel here in the south, and if the bulldozer makes its way down there, it should be able to assist, but either way, a second bulldozer has been fielded now. That will exhaust the rest of Justin's fuel reserves. And it's very important that he make a dramatic impact with those two tanks before the Panther hits the field. Bulldozers apply a little bit of pressure here. Might even catch this Stuka as it's making this extremely dangerous maneuver. They're having some pathing issues of their own over there on the left side. A couple infantry squads making their way to get some territory back here in the center. And I think that building is probably going to go down. If the bulldozers hit it, Reckenwerfer's dealing heavy damage and missing a building somehow. But there it goes. I think that Stuka brought it down. Stuka blew up 2 Reckenwerfers. This bulldozer is now getting a little aggressive, trying to actually hunt down that Stuka, and it has a good chance of sinking it on the ice if it can get a lucky shot. The final Reckenwerfer is about to get blasted out of this building by the bulldozer slash rear echelon troops here. And I think this tier 4 structure might go down. The damaged bulldozer is getting to safety now. Reckenwerfer is maybe killed. It's falling extremely low. This bulldozer has to pull away from the tier 4 structure. Rounds the corner and should be able to get away just fine. Reckenwerfer is somehow still alive. One of the rear echelon troop squads is wiped by Fallschirmjäger moving up to screen, and they're all going to be forced to retreat, as well as the captain right there. But pretty significant losses inflicted on Red Wings there by the bulldozers, and both of them do make it out of the engagement for repairs. Once those are repaired and make their way back into the engagement, they can inflict similar losses. That'll be a big win for Justin, but at the same time, the Panther is coming even faster. Red Wings has extremely good map control and has 220 fuel in the bank. The only reason he hasn't purchased a Panther is because he hasn't got the manpower for it, and at this point, I think he has fuel transfer on. He's probably just going to go for a King Tiger, maybe?
Ready for action.
Because he'd be able to get it pretty quickly. But I'm not sure what he's thinking as far as fuel purchases. Either way, Justin is really rapidly losing map control, and it's a shame he didn't send some of his rear echelon troop squads just to go capture the map. They would have been mostly unopposed during the course of that engagement. Well, he doesn't actually have very many left. He only has 2 left. Wow, that Stuka has destroyed him. He's got 24 kills, not that many. Just Stuka and Fallschirmjäger combined. It's just too lethal. Couldn't quite keep those rear echelon troop squads alive, and it is difficult. They're so fragile, they die very quickly. Captain making his way to get control of this strategic point here.
The Americans have cut our supply line. Attack veteran status.
And Fallschirmjäger will be engaging rear echelon troops there. Even though they're in red cover, they're still easily able to win against those rear echelon troops. Bulldozers have been repaired though and are making their way back to the front lines. Stuka gets a little bit of damage done to this assault engineer squad, and a Panther is in production, but bulldozers are moving up to fire on the building. I don't think they're going to be able to destroy it quickly enough though. No, that Panther's definitely going to complete, but if he had made his way back to this area just a tiny bit sooner, he could have prevented this Panther. That is just tragic. Panther completes, but the building will be destroyed by these 2 bulldozers, and now Justin will be forced to field some heavy anti-tanks and try and deal with that. He did go captain tier, so he has access to anti-tank guns. And he's gonna need like 2 or 3, honestly, to do significant damage to that Panther, and he's gonna need to be very careful about trying to keep these bulldozers alive, because if the Panther gets into close range and gets into close range like it did just now, and phased through it, it will probably be able to kill both of these as long as it keeps up the chase. Although these bulldozers are... That one's stuck on the ice. This one's diving straight into Red Wing's base. Presumably he's just going to let it die because he doesn't think that he has any way of saving it from the Panther, I guess. I don't know. Either that or he's hunting down the Stuka. He may be able to wipe this Fallschirmjäger squad. Seems to be having difficulty though. Panther is chasing the second bulldozer into Red Wing's base and should be able to destroy it. Both bulldozers have been taken out. Now Justin will have to transition into some heavier anti-tank solutions to deal with that Panther. Apparently there's an M10 in the middle. But it died. There's a bazooka sitting right there. But the Stuka is now going to move up to fire its machine gun on the vehicle crew, I think, or it's just randomly driving through the middle of the map for an unknown reason.
Watch the flank!
Really? That's weird.
Orders complete.
Huh.
Standing by.
Yeah, it's not making the little hand icon. Usually it makes the hand icon. Must be bugged.
Send
Bug?
orders.
In Company of Heroes?
Cover!
That's impossible.
Return fire!
Vehicle crew will be forced to retreat from the center from the Kuba wagon.
To arms! 43, ready!
Assault engineers trying to take control of some territory here in the south. Despite how horribly the engagements have gone for Justin, he is spreading out and getting some territory back under his control. M10 catches a fresh M10, catches that Kuba wagon out of position, and I think it'll kill it.
Under effective fire! Direct hit! Main gun destroyed! Main gun destroyed!
2 M10 shots, apparently not enough to take out a Kuba wagon. There it goes. M10 needs to circle the Panther, take advantage of turret rotation. Oh, it didn't get a rear armor hit. That plinked off the frontal armor. Did you see that? Because of the scatter, I guess. Second shot in a row misses, and the M10 is destroyed easily by that Panther. That is the second M10 that goes down without even damaging this.
The command half-track has been converted to the headquarters building. Ready for action. It's time for action. Behind the shield! Stay down!
Enemy flanking us!
Infantry assaulting! Our resource sector has been cut off from our supply chain.
Stuka firing on the blob, and it will be forced to retreat. It's a little bit off target, so everything gets away largely unharmed. I'm not sure if there's going to be anything that Justin can do at this point to come back from his situation, but we will note he has a bit of a manpower surplus, which he can spend on AT guns, and he will field one now. And your only other option at this point against a Panther as U.S. forces when you're low on fuel is an M20. You throw out an M20, especially if you're floating manpower, and try to nail it with a sneaky mine, which is not as easy as it sounds. It's extraordinarily difficult. It's very psychological to try and plant a late game M20 mine without your opponent suspecting anything. Especially on this map. Although I guess there's more opportunities to do it on this map than others. Still, even that is kind of a long shot, sort of a Hail Mary pass kind of move. And it also requires you to have gone Lieutenant tier, which this game, Justin, did not.
Target secure. Fallschirmjäger holding.
First anti-tank gun has hit the field, and we're actually going to see him spend the rest of his manpower on rear echelon troops again, presumably for map control. There are no Kuba wagons left on the field, so they don't really have that much to offer as far as combat.
Area secured.
Actually cancels one of the squads.
Group ready.
But since Redwings is operating on only 5 squads of infantry, 2 of which are Rakettenwerfers, if he just spreads them out all over the map, that alone could get him a little bit more map control. But he would have to be careful about avoiding his opponent's Fallschirmjäger. Either that or keep them all in one giant blob and try and overwhelm the Fallschirmjäger. We will see Thompsons purchased on this vehicle crew since they are useless otherwise, really. This is pretty much the only situation in which Thompsons make any sense when their vehicle has been destroyed. Even then, they're really overpriced, 90 munitions, and the squad dies so fast that it barely makes a difference at all. Justin's still recuperating in his base, hasn't left yet, and Redwings will secure pretty much the entire map. Flag emplacement going up here in the north, that's also unusual. And Fallschirmjäger will move to take control of the final victory point, and the US player will be triple capped. There's a tank trap fortress being built in the US forces base. And the AT gun will activate armor-piercing rounds. 2 shots penetrate. Stuka firing. And does minimal damage.
It is finished. Ready to
And hits Vet 1. And more tank trap spam. Is this game like over? Is he even going to leave his base?
capture complete.
I think the game might be over.
Half track has been permanently established as a static post. Target secure. Fallschirmjäger Eagle Owl. Infrared illumination Hauptgeber ready for action.
Justin, what are you doing?
There's down only 2.
How many squads just use volley fire? 5? Good value on those 100 munitions. And then they get suppressed by the machine gun emplacement.
One of our forward structures has been destroyed.
Uh-oh, AT gun with Thompson and flamethrower support making its way towards the north clears out the flak emplacement. Getting him precious victory point control for the last few seconds of the game, although I doubt that it matters. Stuka just drove into the base and killed like everything. Barrage was slightly off target again though. Look at that infrared half track, providing vision for the Stuka. Next level stuff.
Taking fire! Taking fire!
AT gun is set up to fire on the Panther. 2 AT guns in fact, so that should be sufficient to scare it off. Not that much damage inflicted since most shots did not penetrate, as usual. Even with AP rounds on, which is a shame. And the Thompson vehicle crew is killed. Stuka has 44 kills. Against rear echelon troop spam, Stuka is having a field day. Fallschirmjäger throw a poison gas grenade and then walk into it. Because they're trying to get into close range for a bundled grenade on the flak emplacement, which they will clear.
We've lost a squad of
But they all die in a heroic last stand for no reason because the battle was already won. Redwings just sacrifices the lives of his troops without regard. Good game, Redwings wins, and we will get into Game 2.